Welcome to the 5th video in our Open Fender System Installation Guide series for the 2017 Ford SuperDuty. In this video, we will be going through the process needed to install the Fender bass. Our goal is to provide this comprehensive instruction in manageable chapters and steps so that an individual will feel comfortable during the process. This product is for off-road use only. All liability for installation and use rests with the owner of the vehicle. Careless installation and operation can result in serious injury or equipment damage, and for professional use only. Chapter 7, Step 1. Drilling into the front fender. Begin by laying the front fender on your work table. Place the fender base onto the front fender, keeping it in line with the flat edge and the round contour of the fender. Mark your drill locations where it will be necessary for weld nuts to be placed. Remove the fender base and use a step-up bit to drill out the two locations located on the middle of the fender along the bottom contour. Fit the fender base back into place and clamp it into position. Make sure it is flush with the surface of the fender and all contours are aligned. Now, using a 25 and 64-inch center punch, mark the drill locations. Remove the fender base and use a Q-sized bit to drill out each location marked. Next, take the rust protection and paint all exposed areas of the fender. This includes all cuts and drill locations. Chapter 7, Step 2. Installing the base onto the fender. Start by installing the weather strip to the outside edge of the fender base. Make sure it is tight and fitted perfectly to the contour of the base. Next, use the 5 1/16 inch stainless steel bolts to install the provided mounting plates to the inside wall of the fender. All bolts should be hand tightened until the orientation has been checked. Then tighten with a 3 16" Allen wrench. At this point, you can remove the front mounting flange with a body saw. Cut the flange straight across in a horizontal line. Chapter 7, Step 3. Installing the front fender onto the truck. Start by mounting the fender back into position. The top portion of the fender will fit back onto the truck the same way it came off originally. The bottom portion of the fender will fit into the mounting positions on the inner fender that was installed in Chapter 6. The mounting bracket is located at the bottom rear end of the inner fender. Tighten all mounting locations with an impact driver. Chapter 7, Step 4. Installing the rear fender. Start by positioning the rear fender base onto the truck. Make sure that the fender base fits tightly to the fender. Clamp the fender into position and use a marker to mark locations where you are going to need additional trimming. Next, take a pair of tin snips and create indentations in the fender at each locations marked. You will then use a small wheel grinder to round out the cuts for a smooth finish. It's now time to fit the fender base back into position. Next, take a 25 64" center punch to mark the mounting locations where the rivet nuts will go. Remove the fender and use a 17 32" bit to drill the pilot holes that are needed. Step up to the drill bit that was provided in the kit and finish out each hole. You will now need to use the rust protection to cover up any exposed area of the fender. This will include all drill holes and cuts made during the process. Next, install the rivet nuts into each drill location made to the rear fender. Move over to your work table and install the weather strip along the outside edge of the fender base. Make sure it is tight and fitted perfectly to the contour of the base. It is now time to fit the fender base back into position to be mounted. Use the stainless steel bolts provided to mount the fender base to the truck. Be sure to use anti-seize on each bolt before installing the fender base. This will prevent any long-term corrosion. Hand tighten bolts until all steps are completed. Next, hold the kick panel up to the truck and mark where it will need to be modified. Cut horizontally all the way through the kick panel and remove the excess material. Line the inside edges with double-sided tape and reinstall the kick panel underneath the bottom rear flange of the fender base. Tighten all the stainless steel mounting bolts so the fender sits firmly in position. Then, drill out mounting locations at the bottom corner on each end of the fender base. Coat each hole with rust protection and use the 5/16" zinc bolts provided to bolt in both the rear flange and front flange of the fender base. You are now done with Chapter 7 and can move on to Chapter 8 in our Open Fender System installation video series. Congratulations! You have now completed the installation for the 2017 Ford SuperDuty Open Fender System. Fab Floors has gone to great lengths to perfect this system, knowing the risks in cutting your vehicle. Thank you for following the instructions and videos carefully to ensure proper execution. Welcome to the Fab Fours family and the #40s No Lift Revolution.